Lovely. Okay, I think we're going to get started. We will, just to remind you, the session is being recorded. Really happy to answer your questions, so please do pop them in the chat or save them for later. We will circle back unless it's something super specific to what we're talking about at the time. This is going to be a session on making the most of your membership, but with a real focus on updating your profile, because lots and lots of people do jump on our directory to find composers, and we often find lots of people haven't filled it in, and we'd love you all to be as viewable and showing your best selves when people are looking for composers. So that's going to be our main focus. We will also pop through some of the new features because we've been really redeveloping the website, particularly the members area. So we'll just blitz through some of those. I know a lot of you have already gone through those, but it's always useful to be reminded. Hello, everyone. Brilliant. So we have with us today, I am Daisy. I am the Secretary of the Alliance. I'm also on the UK board, for those of you that I don't know. We have Thomas with us, who is Thomas Mikusz is the Treasurer of the Alliance for Women Film Composers. He is also President of White Bear PR. And shortly we'll also have Jack, who is an assistant at White Bear PR and has also been as admin assistant for the Alliance, has been absolutely instrumental in developing the website for us. So he'll be really useful to go through all the features. And if you have any particular questions, one of the three of us should be able to go through that with you. I have volunteered myself as a lamb to the slaughter to have my profile ripped apart, which is very exciting. So hopefully Thomas will have lots of opinions on what I should have added, should not have added. If you do have any questions, please do pop them in the chat because they're super useful. So I'm just going to share my profile. Hopefully we can all see that. Yeah, brilliant. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So this is what happens when you log onto your profile. I have some of my profile filled out. If you haven't yet discovered it, when you go to the top right-hand corner, you can edit your profile. There we go. And we're going to go through section by section. So Thomas, first of all, obviously a biopic, profile shot, whatever, headshot is super important at the top. Any particular things that you think we should be really focused on?
Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here. So the photo is not only super important, it's mandatory. If you don't upload a photo, your profile will not be visible. So it's not only important, it's mandatory. So otherwise you will not show up in the search and your profile will not be visible. And studios, producers, showrunners, people are using our directory. And so we want to make sure it's up to date. And the reason we're doing this session today is because we went through it and we realized there's a lot of old biographies, credits are not added, and it's just out of date. And because we are constantly doing events with filmmakers and trying to get the director in front of people, it just doesn't look good on the organization, but also on the individual composer, I think, if it's outdated. I mean, a profile photo, I think you want a profile photo that shows, your personality, but also kind of who you are as a composer. And that would be a whole another talk on branding. But I think the main idea is that we want to know the photo should reflect who you are as an artist. Meaning, if you're not an orchestral or composer, then don't have a photo in front of an orchestra, for example. Daisy could have also done a photo with a saxophone, for example, as she's a saxophone player. So
Noted. It is
or
time.
Hilda Gunnardóttir, for the longest time, we used a photo with her and the cello because that was her main instrument, so in that sense. But it could also, if you do minimalistic scores. It could be a photo that is, or some earthy. It could be nature. It could be, but it needs to fit your brand. The locations, anything that you put in the fields is important, and the more you put in there, it's good for the search engine because people, studios can look. They can look for, for example, here we only put in London, but if Daisy would also have be part-time in Los Angeles or in New York or whatever, we would put that in there also, so she can be searchable under the location, and the same with the country.
And I think something that's really important to remember is so much of the industry right now, in particular in regions, often they're looking to hire based on tax credits. So just be really cautious but honest with where your locations are. Sort of don't just add places that you can access, because often people are looking like, I need, for example, an Irish composer, and the reason is because X% of our budget has to go to HODs in Ireland. So it's thinking of that when you're adding your additional locations, I think.
Yeah, and you really need residence there. It's not just, oh, maybe it can stay with a friend. It needs, so that needs to be a bit more than.
Yeah.
Then the biography. I mean, we'll talk about biographies more in a little bit. You have your performing arts organization, contact, email address, and there, if you don't want it publicly, you can just create a Gmail address or something that is for, that is posted. The spotlight credits would be, like to Hilda Gunnadottir, for an example, we would put on Joker, Chernobyl, header, for example, and that change, so it's kind of in a short period of time we see we don't have to look at the whole biography. We can just see the main credits there. So almost like a short biography, but basically just a listing. You're great with awards.
Can I ask a question about both spotlight credits and awards? Because I'm often asked this. How important is it? Is there a level below which maybe it's not great to add the nomination or award or spotlight credit? Like, how important is it to show a certain level, for example, like maybe a smaller festival with a nomination, for example, is that still really valuable as an awards credit, or is it better?
Yeah, I mean, I would put it in as an award, and then once you have bigger ones replace it, then you don't have to do everything. But if you only have like, smaller festivals, I mean, you're still nominated and it's still, an award nomination. It's different. Than in the biography, maybe I wouldn't put everything, if it's unknown. But, this is for awards, and also IMDb has a listing with awards, and there's a lot of smaller awards you can list there. So it's the same here. I think it's good to show that your score, your work stood out, and you got
Right.
accolades for it. Agent manager, it's clear. Active since, I don't think that's 100% necessary. Phone number, not 100% necessary, especially if you have your email address on. I think music styles would be something that I would think of. What is your music style? And put in there. So, because people are looking for that. Genre only if you feel like you're known for a specific genre and you kind of only want to work in that. Otherwise, I would probably also leave it open, or do a lot of genres. Some directors might look for horror or for comedy or whatever, but overall, I think the music style for me is more important. One thing that's super important is the race and ethnicity, and that was just added. And that we will also do a questionnaire later this year. We need that as a non-for-profit organization for grants and for statistics, which we have to, for tax reasons, deliver. And we've never done that. So we just added that, and then we'll do a questionnaire later this year where we will include that. And then, yeah, I mean, with social media, it's basically the social media that you really use. If you have a Facebook but hardly use it, I probably wouldn't put it on, even if you have it. And we need to have a place where we can find your music. I think that's important. I see so many profiles that have no music links on there. And it could be SoundCloud, it could be Spotify, it could be a show reel, but at least something where people that want to book you can find your music. I think that's important, of course.
And then your IMDb, super important.
Yeah, I think you want to link because a lot of people look at IMDb before they look at your personal website, I think.
And then these two spaces for show reels, would you recommend visual show reels, audio show reels? Is it necessary to have them in there particularly?
I personally prefer audio show reels. Also when we talk to studios and agents, that's what they send out first. The visual show reel is always a bit tricky because, when you work as a composer, first of all, a director doesn't necessarily need to see the visual vision of another director. But also, the music that you composed and delivered is not necessarily what ends up in the film the way you intended it to be in there. And, it's edited, and so I think an audio show reel always shows more of your work and leave the visuals up to imagination. Same on the website, the important is your show reel with 7 to 10, 11 music tracks that are different, that are show your versatility and who you are as an artist. And then if you want to show how it looks in on the with visuals, then I would do that on the second page, but not on the main page. That I would keep just for the audio. Some composers, I don't know everyone in the room, but not everyone might have a Spotify page yet, an artist page. It's also something, once you have stuff released, you want to claim your artist page, but not everyone has that yet. But we won't need to see your music, so then you would create a SoundCloud player, with like again 7, 10, 12 tracks, and put the SoundCloud link in there. And hopefully also your show reel is something that is evolving over time. It's the show reel that you have today is not the same that you have next year. A show reel is a good way of showing your best work, the work you're most passionate about. But then also sometimes, you might be known for a specific genre, and that's where most of your work is, but you want to break out and do something new. So you would include that in your reel, meaning, we had a composer, it was a guy, but he was known for half-hour comedy and all this comedy score, but he wanted to do something darker, more independent. Well, of course, then in your reel, you put that on there. So it's not only the work that you're known for, it's also the work that you would want to do, but people haven't had a chance to hear yet.
Presumably that could also apply to your headshot. For example, if you feel like you want to do a style pivot, maybe you previously had a lovely smiley photo, but you actually wanted to be doing horror or something similar. You could also do I know there's a bigger branding conversation, but there's sort of
Yeah, but I think the headshot should not so much show the genre you work in, but more your personality and your music style, because I don't think a director, because you're smiling, hires you for comedy necessarily, but I think it's more the overall feel, like people like Volker Bertelmann, Hilde Gunnardóttir, they have very stylized headshots that go with, Folk obviously with the piano. He does the prepared piano. Hilda used to have the cello, but now she has a very clean, minimalistic photo. But her music is also minimalistic and clean. And I mean, she has some big orchestral music also, but that's what I mean with the photo. It's if you're inspired by nature and by, then you have something maybe, or you're a songwriter also, you have something out in nature. If you're an orchestral composer, you have something maybe with an orchestra in front, a lot of people have in their studio, that's what I mean. But yeah.
I just have one addition about the headshots. Also, sorry, I came onto this a bit late. Thomas probably mentioned this, but if you don't have a headshot, then you will not appear in the directory. And another note about the directory is that locations in it are kind of an evolving thing. So if you find that you add your location and it's not showing up appropriately in the directory, please get in contact with us and we'll work to get it added. We've done our best, but there are ones that we need to add and have missed and stuff. So that's just a couple of additions there from me.
Thanks, Jack. That's brilliant. I think the only one we didn't cover was services offered. So would this be presumably a good place if you're a specialist in a certain instrument, maybe? So, for example, I might put saxophone or something, but it's not particularly. Is it sort of
It could also be orchestrator, arranger, music producer, something like that. Is more kind of if your saxophone is your main instrument, that might be more the music style, I think. Services offered is more the things, and you have to be careful there because I would only put services offered something that has to do with being a composer. So I wouldn't put in there piano teacher and nanny and whatever, because people, they want you to be available, but some things make sense, like a music producer. If you work with budgets, a music producer is valuable because we know, oh, we're on a short timeline, we have to work with a budget, so music producer, very good. Orchestrator, arranger, also good. Conductor, also good. But you have to be careful then not to think about what makes sense and feeds into your work as a composer or songwriter. And what would you be hired for in by a studio or a filmmaker?
Yeah. This feels like a good time to just navigate briefly to crafting a bio. What should we be putting in there? How do we reflect ourselves?
Well, we can look at your bio.
All judgment acceptable.
Well, one thing I said in the beginning, and that is really a pet peeve of mine, is I looked at the directory, and that's why we're doing this, is because there's so many biographies that are outdated, so many credits that are missing, and when people look for you, and it's important to have a biography that is current, especially if you have date references in your bio. And Daisy, thankfully, is very up to date. She has 2025 awards in there. That means she had just updated it because the Music and Sound Awards just came out. But I see a lot of biographies where now it's 2025 and the biography still says later in 2022 and 2023 her project so and so will be released. And when I read that, then I know it's not current, but then I also wonder if you haven't worked since. So the moment you do, well, first of all, it should always be updated because you want to present, it's not much work and you want to present, show everything that you're doing, awards, projects you've been working on. And especially if there's a reference that you have to update it. It's easy on our website because you have full control. It's a bit more difficult on IMDb. So maybe on IMDb, you want to not do those references so you don't have to constantly update it. And as I said, people look first at IMDb, so that always should be totally up to date. Composer and saxophonist. Yeah, so I mean, when crafting a biography, I always feel this is 3 paragraphs. I feel, we have short biographies that are only 3-4 sentences. That's more like a listing of your projects and awards. Or then a longer biography like this that would be, maybe 4-5 paragraphs maximum, but I think 3-4 is good. I personally, and that's something that I feel missing with Daisy. So I always think about readers, attention span, and the first paragraph is the most important because you have to pull in audiences to continue reading. And also the most important information should be in the first paragraph. And for me, the most important is, who are you as a composer? What's your music style? And that I don't get with Daisy. I know she's a composer and saxophonist. I don't know what kind of scores are you doing, and are you using the saxophone for your scores? Is that your main instrument, or are you doing orchestral? What kind of composer are you? What can I expect from you? So that I find is missing, and for me, that's one of the most important things. Then in the first paragraph, I like to put either a title that you're well known for, or that you received an award for, or the most current. Like Hildo, I just put in the first paragraph. Upcoming film is Hedda. But I think I would probably also. I don't think it has to be chronological. So you in your biography start with how you started, and it was as a collaborator. So that's the first thing I hear is you're a collaborator, but you're not a collaborator anymore. You also do your own projects. And I think I would start with, who are you as an artist, and and then in the second paragraph, I would say how you started. I would do the started in two. I would probably do our both collaborations. Do you have a lot of things that you've done as a sole composer?
No,
Okay.
no. We mostly work together, which it actually makes
Okay.
it quite
All right.
difficult to write it out, because you're immediately talking about someone else.
Yeah. And we can offline talk about that,
Yeah.
but I would find different ways to do not go on collaboration and co-composer right away, and to see if you can maybe do that a little differently.
Okay. Great.
Because then again, you got Daisy and Tom. So, if it's a bio for 222, it's different, but also it kind of means you're only working as a team and never solo, basically.
Gotcha. So for the composers that are working solo, presumably once they've covered, so the first paragraph is very much like who they are, what they
Yeah,
sound.
who you are, but like the main next big credit or awards. Then the second paragraph, I would do more like a listing of what you've worked on over the years, starting with the most notable or biggest projects. And then the third paragraph, I would write about how you got into composing, maybe, what university you went to, or if you're a crossover artist, you can also put, he or she also, works, tours with this band, or is a music producer. That would be down there. And then I also like to put something personal in there at the end, if possible, or for you, it's serving on the leadership for the organizations you're part of, and for if you are. You could also put in there, she is an Irish citizen. Like, because of tax credits, I think that could be in the biography. Some people also put press quotes in a biography. That's fine. And especially if if it describes your work well. And if you don't have that many credits, you can expand it a bit. Like you have the actresses in there in parentheses. I always think it's nice, more so than the actresses, although they are known, to put in the directors' names, because directors are hiring you, and when you put their name in there, they see that you're honoring their craft. So especially if you need more, if you want to fluff up your bio a bit and need more words.
I think the main thing that I'm hearing from you, that is something I hadn't thought about before, that is missing from mine, is sort of something personal. So do you,
Yeah, I mean, I do that because I feel it's such a personal, it's such a collaborative business we are in, and it's, kind of direct. You want to get who is the person behind the music, who is, who do I get here? Who do I want to spend time in the room with? And get, it doesn't have to be like opening, everything that you do, but, somehow kind of, I mean, my biography, I think, has that I like to go hiking with my dog. It can be something very simple. But to just to, for a while I had that I'm a competitive poker player, so you can also switch it up.
I did not know that.
Uh-huh.
Does anyone have any questions about bio just while we're on this before we move on to the members area?
Maybe a tiny question that could be helpful. You mentioned a lot about like recency being important, Thomas. That there's probably a few people that are in a situation where they haven't worked so much recently. Like in that case, are there any kind of common workarounds that you see working for people?
No, thanks for asking. Yeah, no, so the recent project I would only put in the first paragraph because if you have something coming up, so it immediately stands out. If you don't have something come up, then you don't. Then you just talk about your musical style, or if you've gotten some awards in the past. If the award was 10 years ago, then I would take out the year. I would just say she is a music and sound nominee or winner. And I would not say in 2013 she received the music and sound, then I would take it out. And then, as far as the second paragraph where we list all the projects, if you only have a few projects, then definitely I would fluff it up with names, you can put the studio in there, you can put the actors' names, you can put the director, you can, if it premiered at a film festival, you can put all that in there. But the more work you have, the more you scale it down so it doesn't read like a long, long essay. And I think also, that's the difference for me between a resume and a biography, where the biography has a bit more freedom. You can also, but you can describe your work. I mean, you had notable, for example, lush orchestral score. You can describe your work a bit. And I do that when I write bios. I'm very factual first, but then I have a piece of paper where I write the words that come to mind. How would I describe his or her music? And I then add that in and I make sure it's not repetitive. I don't use the same word all the time. You also, when you write a bio, you need to send it to someone. I mean, you can use Microsoft Word or something for spell check and grammar check, but it's better to send it to someone and have another eye looking at your biography for grammar mistakes, for spelling mistakes, for repetition. And then, Jack, you can also put in, first of all, like some people have, how people got into music. It was for the love of Hans Zimmer or John Williams or whatever. Just be careful that it needs to fit your music style. There's nothing in the biography that is a coincidence. So if you're an orchestral composer and you got into scoring because of John Williams, it makes sense. But even though you love John Williams, but you're not an orchestral composer, I wouldn't put him in your bio. I hope that makes sense. And you can put influences, but you can also. I also like to show in the bio, and it can be directly, it can be with other words, that you love to collaborate. You love to collaborate with storytellers, with music. If you can put a sentence like that in, sometimes it shows because you work with the same director over and over. But if not, you can also, in a few words, say why you are not just a composer, but why you're a composer for visual media, and what is it that you're passionate about, and also where do you want to go with your career? And that could be, like the example I gave earlier. I like you could say, she has worked comedy scores for many years and just released her EP with some darker music, she grew up playing video games and her goal is to work on on a big video game her influences in music where, and then you put video game composers. So it's clear people then associate, we know, where do you want to go with your career? So in the beginning, when you don't have as much credits, you can write about your goals, your influences, how you get into music, why you want to be a visual media composer, and, put that in there. Or, I've also said, she's experimenting with, again, minimalistic sounds, even if you don't work on a specific project, you're still creating music. So you write in the biography what you're doing.
Dai's asked a really good question. What about quotes from reviews and film critics? Do I include those, and can it open with one or close with one? How is it best?
Yeah, no, that's what I meant. I wouldn't do like a long, but Chris Willman of Hollywood Reporter described her score for Tar as breathtaking, whatever it is, but or a sentence. I wouldn't necessarily open with it. I would still. I would probably put it when you then list all the projects in the second paragraph or so, when we write about a specific project and then add a sentence, what the critics said about your score. And that I would do once, but not like every review you get. I would pick the one. And again, you manipulate the audience. You pick the review that kind of supports your goals, where you want to go with your career.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question before we move on to this section? With the awards, if the film has won an award, but your music specifically hasn't, do you put the award or no?
Yeah, you can put that. You don't put it in the awards section on the Alliance website. That's just for the awards that you directly won. But in your biography, you could write, she scored the film Don't Stop the Music, which won the 2026 Sundance Audience Award, something like that.
Cool, thank you.
Because there's some, especially in the independent world, there's some films where only films get awards, but music really, Sundance, Toronto, and stuff. And Daisy will take over. I have to take a quick call. Sorry, I was waiting for that.
No, not a problem. Not a problem.
And maybe in that case too, the spotlight credit that you could put in would be that same project that the film won. Then the bio might link to the spotlight credit quite nicely.
Cool, thanks.
Great idea. That's a great idea. Tara, I've seen your question. We will circle back, I promise. Shall we jump onto the just pop through the members area, because you've done so much work on that. I just want to make sure everyone knows all of the options that we now have, because it's really, really great. Shall I share, and do you want to talk through it? Is that the best way? Yeah. Great.
I was muted. That's what I meant. Yeah, so from your account area, you can access your profile like we have, but we also have several member resources, including details about agents, managers, and PROs that we try and keep fairly active and fresh. And then also member discount codes, which we do work on keeping as fresh as possible. For example, the HMMA submissions are happening now, and we have the 25% off your submission if you use this code here. In some cases, we've worked quite closely with a company like Orchestral Tools in order to actually link up your account with our offer in order to get you their product, I think fully free, this one particular product, right, Daisy?
That's right, it's free. Yeah, it's been an amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, it worked out really well. So I hope people are taking advantage of that. We do need to spruce this page up visually a little bit, but all the details are in there. And, all of
Disco's a
the,
new one as well. Disco, you
yeah,
just
just
put up there.
exactly. We just put that one in too. So there are some really great deals and or extensions of trial plans, that kind of thing that you can find in the member discount codes.
I think some incoming ones. There are some gear related discount codes from particular companies that we're just finalizing now. So for companies, for example, if you need a new microphone or a new interface, we're trying to work with them right now. So it really is, across the board as much as possible. But if you do have ideas for discounts, please do let us know because we can approach people.
It's kind of cool too. I think, like we've been growing a lot. And so that's something that when we go out, we provide a real kind of opportunity to people and their companies. So we're getting really good responses, I think.
Absolutely. I also love that we now have all of the inside sessions. So if you have some free time in your day and you want to catch up on something, I believe all of the inside sessions and most of the jumping off points are up here. Is that right, Jack?
Yeah, but I need to do a refresh on these. So some of these are a month or so out of date, but yeah, I have all the links and we'll add them in, and they are ordered in terms of date and recency. So as more and more come in, the previous ones go out. But all of the videos are still on our YouTube. They get uploaded every time.
And then, of course, we've got our organizations to join, which includes PROs and things like the SCL, the IVAs. And then very importantly, our workplace safety, which we implemented a while ago, which hopefully you have all taken a look at, which was on the previous website as well. Now, something I'm really excited about, because I think it's absolutely phenomenal work between Jack and Alexa, is our events calendar. Jack, do you want to talk us a little bit through all the many, many things that we've added to this?
Yeah, so Alexa has been updating these as they've come in. So, apologies if I miss anything, but, whenever we get potential events that you might be able to attend, we enter them in and kind of classify them in terms of, the purpose, if you like, education versus networking versus whatever, and also classify them in terms of common hubs of the industry. So you should be able to filter by a certain hub location and then see everything that's kind of coming up for you.
Absolutely. So I know, for example, a lot of people sort of say they miss the newsletter or they miss social media. If you ever feel like you want to catch up, your members area is exactly where you should go. I know we all get a lot of emails. We are very overwhelmed. But if you just log in here and just check all of particularly AWFC events, but also ones where we have been asked to partner with an organization or they have invited our members specifically, such as the California Copyright Conference or the Leland speed meetings. So we are trying to add as many as possible. It is obviously a work in progress, but this should really be your port of call.
And if you have any suggestions for new events too, at the bottom of the page, it gives details on who and how to contact.
Yeah, and please do that because it's really, really useful for the whole community. And then the newest area, which we are slowly populating because it takes a lot of work, is the awards. I believe they are currently ordered by when the submission date opens, the submission calendar opens. So you may have to have a little look through. Go on, Jack.
There was, I just looked at Golden. I mean, I can look at it later, but I think there's a mistake on there.
Okay.
On the Golden Globe.
We will circle back to that. We'll check that.
And we can look at that later.
Yeah, and one thing I want to look at too is when an event has passed, like how it kind of archives or not. Leave that with me.
Thanks, Jack. But yeah, and most of these links should go directly to the portal, which has the information which you need. For example, the criteria, whether it's you that is submitting or whether it's the production that is submitting. We're trying to keep that as clear as possible. And that is most of our members area. I did see a question. Oh, that was an answer from Thomas. Brilliant. So Thomas, Tara had a question. Is it for your bio, is it worth putting a review in if the reviewer is not well known, like an online review?
Yeah, I mean, if it's yeah, I mean, if it talks about your music, I would put it in, it's, yeah. But it's also, the review of your music, not about the film. But I would be very careful. I mean, we, for example, hardly put quotes in the reviews in the bio. There's so many. Sometimes we do, but it's maybe 5% of all the biographies have a review in there or a quote. I think it's something I would probably put more on the website or on social media. And in that sense, I think it's something if you need more content, then I would put it in. But yeah, it doesn't have to be Variety or Hollywood Reporter or Empire Magazine. It can be, also something smaller if it's something nice that really shows your work. Like if you feel like this totally describes my score or my work with these 3-5 words, audiences that read that will know who I am as a composer, then you put it in.
I have a question related to Emily's question, which is, I know we have quite a few composers on here on this session who work outside of media scoring. For example, they have a fantastic career in classical or electronic music. How important is it to weave that into your bio as a media composer, or should they be, really focusing on that? Nowadays, is it shifting slightly?
I think it's shifting, and it all informs who you are as an artist. And, I mean, again, going back to Volker, he was hired because of the doing the prepared piano, and, Hilda has been doing Johnny Greenwood, Jeremiah Fridays. There's so many people that are crossover artists who come from the classical world or and I think it's not on top of the biography, but I think, towards the end you want to write about, if you tour as a classical composer, if you do theater in Europe, if you do theater or ballet or or fashion shows, that all that could be in there because it informs who you are as an artist and also makes you a bit more professional. I mean, working in theater, we also know how to do, timelines, how to be flexible and all that.
That's brilliant. Jack, there's a question on locations for you about location options for Northern Irish cities like Belfast or Dublin.
Yep, we will look into it. I'll get onto the developer and work to add them. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. It really is, we're community focused. So if you have suggestions, please do always reach out. We are constantly trying to update as much as possible, whether it's things like locations or discounts. Do feedback, because we actually really, really need your feedback. We're a huge community now and we can't cover everything. So we need you to get involved and let us know.
One thing I thought, go on.
Go on, Jack, go on.
I'll add Sheffield here too. I wanted to mention just that now in the website you have much more control over your billing than we ever have before. Historically, you'd have to email us with any issues you had, and we would, work to send you an invoice or whatever. So we did a much deeper integration with the payment provider this time around, and the way it shows up can actually sort of show up in two different places in your profile. It can show up in billing or in subscriptions. So sometimes if you don't see it in one, you might find it in the other, just dependent on variables that honestly I don't know. So just a heads up that you can find it in both places.
That's great. Thanks, Jack. Does anyone else have any questions? Amazing. Thomas, is there anything else we haven't covered that you would like to, or Jack? Thomas, you're muted.
Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, and also because we're recording this, so it's for not only the people in the room here, it's for everyone out there. Make sure your profile is up to date, constantly on IMDb and your website, and especially if you pitch for a project and send it out, you want to, if you're in the running for a project, you want to go over all your materials before and make sure it's up to date. But we know that people are using our decision makers are using our directory. So, update it. And as Jack said, it's mandatory with the photo, otherwise we cannot see you. Yeah, I think that's, it's as far as, for this, and then, make sure that, we have a link to all the links, as Daisy said, IMDb, social media, that we kind of can find you, but most important that we can find easily your music. I think that's, for me, it's very important. And yeah, and then as a reminder also, fill out your ethnicities, and we'll have a questionnaire about that, and location. That's all I can think of.
Thanks.
Yeah, and let us know. I mean, if you get stuck with something, obviously the directory, I think, is in really, really good shape at the moment, and with the information that is needed. But if there is something that you feel is missing with keywords, search words, etc., let us know.
One other thing to mention is that for some reason password resets can be tricky, and after you've done a few of them, it will nearly always lock you out. So just know that ahead of time, and then we will be able to reset you and get you set back up again. So for the audience that listens to this in the future, be aware. We're trying to work on that, fix it.
We're getting there slowly. Yeah, we've got a lot of festivals coming up over the next 6 months, and we are getting the QR code to the directory out at those festivals. They are up on screens, they are on postcards, they are in pamphlets. So if you do nothing else between now and the end of this week, update your profile. I promise you it will be worth it, because even tomorrow at the London Film Festival, we're going to be putting that QR code everywhere, and you don't want to miss out. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us. We don't have any more questions. Di? No?
Daisy, if you want to quickly talk, if anyone that is in London, we're doing a workshop event. I know the Hexen already registered, but we have a workshop event on October 18, a full day in London.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
And we have opened up the waitlist. There is a waitlist. So if you have not yet, I think quite a lot of you have got tickets already. Yeah, I think most of you have. But if you haven't, please do sign up, because you just never know. It will just go through the waitlist if people cannot make it for any reason. Yeah, we're at London Film Festival tomorrow. There's also, I don't know if anyone here is in Canada, but there is an event coming up. There's an event coming up at VIF. Thomas, do you know when that is? It's quite soon, I think. It's like ASAP, but members area.
It's Thursday, so tomorrow is Thursday, so yeah.
So if you manage to make it to that, that'd be brilliant. If we don't have any more questions, I think we can wrap this up. Amazing. Guys, thank you so much for joining us and for asking engaging and really useful questions. Please reach out if you have any suggestions or issues. We are always open to feedback and to praise as well, should you want to. Sometimes we need a little pat on the head. But guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.